Welcome back, folks. What we've got today is a cylinder head that we're planning on using for the FrankenHonda build, and right now it's not in usable shape and it's a crying shame. I want to show you what we found, why we can't use it, and what we're going to do to try to correct it. In this case, the head is warped and we're going to try to straighten it. And I want to show you what you check first. Why it matters on this head is that this camshaft is in the cylinder head. So you have to take that into consideration before you do any kind of planing or resurfacing of the head. It needs to be straight. This one is not. Let's get over here and I'll show you what we've got. We'll check the cam out as well. Here I want to show you the camshaft that came out of the engine, out of the cylinder head that we're working on here, so that you can see if it is bent or not. We'll check this camshaft to see if it's straight in 3 places. I hope you can see that on the camera pretty well. I bumped it a little bit, but it's running straight and true in all 3 places. So we could use this cam as a straight edge to put in that cam journal and see if the head is straight. And that's why I wanted to show you whether this was straight or not. So for one, we can tell whether we can use this cam or not. And for 2, you can put it in the cylinder head and use it as a tool, as a straight edge if you don't have one. So let's get it out of here. So when you're checking out a used cylinder head or going through one to rebuild it or refurbish it, it's important to check for flatness here on the top. A lot of people confuse all the different ways of checking flatness and parallelism and surface finish and all of these different terms that all the armchair warriors in the forum chat forums start ranting and raving about. And every one of them's got their own only way that it will ever work, and they're all probably wrong. So most people just check here and they want to see if it's flat here. And that's not bad. It's not like you're doing a bad thing from checking there. So let's do that first. This cylinder, and it's a crying shame on this cylinder head. As you can see, it's in immaculate shape. All I've done is hot soapy water and a quick brush off. Now it is alarmingly bowed. You can probably see it already. But let's flip it over and see how warped the cam journal is. I hope you can see this, but this straight edge just rocks across there. It rocks on every single cap. And if I push down here a little, I can get this 11 thousandths under there, no problem. There's a 15, 18. I'd like to say that's really close. Yeah, that 28 drag. So, as you can tell, it's got a pretty hefty bow in it. And now we'll set this camshaft in here as well, because we just saw that it's straight. We'll see how it rocks around. I do want to put a little oil on the journals though, being a bit of a purist here. I just can't set bare metal on bare metal like that. Can you see that rocking around? Hear it? Clunk, 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 clunk. Now that I've got the camshaft in there that we know is straight, I'm going to push down on the other side and rock it up and down like we were with the straight edge. and you can see and hear that it just rocks around. So in this current condition of this cylinder head, if you were to put the caps on and assemble this and tighten the caps all down, this camshaft would not rotate, and if it did, you would be forcing it. Therefore, if you were to correct right now the bottom being out of parallel and not flat, and put a good surface finish on the bottom, it wouldn't matter, because the thing won't run. When you bolt it down, it's not going to be in a state that it can turn the camshaft. And you can break the cam there. It could break at any one of the journals, but it's more likely to break out here where the pulley is. Anyway, it's just not something that you do, and that's why a lot of heads that are in good shape, otherwise, they just get overheated once and they end up junk, or in the wrong shop where somebody won't try to fix them. What we're going to do today is a little unconventional, because it's not done often anymore, but we're going to fix this head, or at least try to. Follow me to the press and we'll straighten it out. As we support the head in the press, we're going to put a block here and a block here across the outside 4 bolt holes. That way everything in the middle will give. So let me show you the setup we've got here and how we're going to press on it. I've got a socket and 2 old wrist pins that come out almost perfectly level. This block on top will be spreading the load from the press out, and we'll be pushing in the middle. Here, it's on the 2 bolt holes there. Here, it's on those 2 bolt holes. And that shot here will allow us room to get, that's why it's in there crooked. That'll allow us to get a straight edge in and out. I wanted to show you. I've got about 5 tons sitting on it, so 10,000 pounds. Don't put your hands around this area here in case it falls over. Real knuckle buster. But I want to put a feeler gauge to it there, a thin one. So I think I've got it held into a straight position. Now I've got it right there in a spot where about 1.5 thou, 2 thou feeler gauge is gonna be all I can fit anywhere. So I'm gonna lock it down there. I'll show you how we'll do that. It's a lot better. We went from, remember, being able to push down on the feeler gauge here and insert a, what was it, 25 thousandths feeler gauge, to now we're having trouble getting 2.5 thou in any more than just 1 or 2 places. I think it was here and in the middle, but that's inconsequential. We'll lock it down where it's at, and then I'll show you how it compares to how it was. And what we're going to do is, using a cutting torch, without using the cutting part of it, just the heat part of it, we're going to heat up in the webbing here where it's thin until it just starts to melt, and then we're going to back away. And what that's going to do is it's going to relieve the stress here, and then it's going to re-solidify. Thus basically holding the pressure that we've applied to it here evenly, and releasing that bow that it was locked into as it was overheated. You can tell, I mean, of course it's under stress right now because we've got it in the press, but even if it wasn't, it would ring like a bell everywhere. A casting is under a lot of internal tension. And that internal tension, when the unit got hot, was multiplied, and that's what's drawn it out of its shape that it needs to be. So we've got it pressed into the shape that we want it to be in, and now what we're going to do is lock it into that spot. And just like and this is all a little bit of hearsay and magic and voodoo, but what I'm going to do is, just like I tighten a cylinder head down from the inside in a cross pattern back and forth, working my way to the outside, I'm going to do the same with my heat application. I'm going to do it here, 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 and here, as best I can. So, enough chit chat about it. Let's get to burning some stuff. just let that cool off. Just want to reach in there and check it one more time. That, I don't feel any rock in that at all. I'm going to try to avoid burning my fingers by putting the feeler gauges back on it, but I think we've got it where I want it. I actually backed the pressure off just a little bit. We're sitting there about only 2.5 tons on it. So just about 5,000 pounds pushing down. And it's not super hot. You can see I can touch it. Let me try to get a good shot. And this is all we're doing. See the little dimple? There's 2 on the back side there. After that's cooled down for about 15 minutes or so, I'm going to go ahead and relieve the pressure of the press, and we'll put it back on the workbench and check it over and see if it holds that position now. Alright, so we've got the head, now it's cooled down, it's not warm at all anymore. And it's not 100% perfect, but it's very close. It's a 2.5 thou feeler gauge, and it drags right there, and I cannot get it under all the way right there. Or right here. You just get stuck. That's not bad, and on the other side, it's about the same situation. The head is now very, very flat. Compared to what it was, it is in good enough condition to go on ahead and surface. So we'll put it in the mill now and put a good surface finish on it. Now we've got our head level from left to right off these corner bolt holes. I'll show you. We've got a 0 here. Now I can touch this without, disturbing it too much if I'm gentle. And we've got a 0 here. Now I'm going to crank back onto that other one and check the back side. I've got about -1 thou there, which that's not bad. Actually more like 7 or 8 tenths. I'm going to come back and check over here. And it's down about -2.5 there. So not bad. The whole deck, if we're checking off the corners, we've got to within 2.5 thou of being flat with itself. And that may be just about as flat as it is. So without worrying about it too much further, we'll go ahead and take a pass and flatten it off. Interesting. I get up about, if I check all the way around there, I get up to about 8 thousandths. That's how much of a bulge this has in it, or a hump, but that's not as important as, you don't worry about that first. I can take that off, and actually I think I looked it up. 8 thou is the spec for the maximum that you're gonna surface and get away with on this head. But they don't really, it kind of gives you a little blurb in there at the top. It says something about checking your cam bore oil clearances before you worry about this, and that's what they're talking about. So we've got a head here that we know is flat on the cam bore, so we'll go ahead and flatten it here now, and we'll have one that'll run. And then the two surfaces are close enough to being parallel and perpendicular to each other to be in spec. That's the whole point of the video, though. Is bottom side down here is first. This is secondary. Alright, so we've got the head flat in the jig. I'm going to go ahead and take a pass now. I've got it zeroed out. I'm going to skim it at about 3 thousandths and we'll see what it looks like. We already know it's going to be more than that, but I want to see it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make a pass at 0 since it's such a hump in the middle. It's still going to hit it pretty hard. I'm actually going to take a pass. 1, 2... I'm 3 above the deck right now. Maximum cut for the cutter is 5 thousandths according to the book. And with the 8 thousandths bow in the head, I want to make sure that I'm not taking more than 5. So we shouldn't get any sort of engagement towards the beginning here. I'll speed it up a bit until I start seeing some contact. Pan it around so you can get a shot of both sides of it a little better. here you can see the surface finish that we've achieved after making the head flat and parallel and perpendicular and able to be used again. Thanks for watching. If you like our videos, be sure to click the like button. It helps to get us recommended for others to view so we can grow the channel. And subscribe to be on the list to be notified of future updates. Tune in next time. I'll show you how to lap the valves and put this thing back together. And we'll vacuum check it when we're done, make sure it's in good working order. Thanks.